Hey friends, and welcome back to another Kitchen Table Talk. My name is Wendy. I am with Inspire Ministries, and I am so glad that you are here today. Today I have for you a little treat, something that I have personally been journeying through for a while now, that I've been working on in my own quiet time, and I wanted to bring you something today that would encourage you and that would bring some hope to those who feel like they are stuck in their current quiet time. Now, I know we are just entering into the month of June. It is glorious. It is summer. There are all the things happening, especially now that we are kind of entering into a season post-pandemic. And so I feel like there's going to be a lot of us that are outside and enjoying the great weather and having cookouts and seeing family and going on vacations and all of these wonderful things. But I also know what can be true, especially in the summer months, is that our quiet time with Jesus tends to suffer a bit. And so I'm hoping that this will be something that will help you as we move forward, especially in the next 3 summer months. And it's something that I had brought to a Facebook group that I manage called the Kitchen Table. Now, I want to side note completely, if you are not plugged in to this Facebook group and you want to be, you can do so. It's called the Kitchen Table, and it's where I come every single day. I deliver all kinds of content. I do videos, I do messages, I do free printables, all kinds of resources. I tell you when there are sales coming up. I talk about Bibles and books and things that I am enjoying. I give motivation and encouragement and challenges there. And so if that is a place that you would like to be a part of, I would love for you to be a part of that. Just find me over there on Facebook at the Kitchen Table. The image is a Bible, and that's how you can find us. We are located in Elkhart, Indiana, and again, it's called the Kitchen Table on Facebook. But I wanted to kind of just explain to you something that I have for you today that I'm hoping will be of some encouragement to you. If you find yourself, especially if you find yourself in a season where you're like, I just don't know what to study anymore. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to read. I've kind of done with this whole reading plan thing. And this is something that I've been doing for probably the last 2 or 3 years. And I absolutely love it. So one of the things that I have said on repeat here on Instagram, on my YouTube channel, and also in the Facebook page that I manage is I'm always talking about studying through the Gospels. So Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And why I feel like it is so important for us to do that is because it is in those Gospels that we learn about the character of Jesus. And so, I've said this over and over again, to read until you hear his voice. And that is specifically important as we think about the study of his nature and his character. Who was Jesus? So oftentimes we hear that we need to model after the life of Christ, or that we have to have the mind of Jesus. And the fact of the matter is that we cannot activate that. We cannot do that effectively if we do not know his nature and his character. And so what I am proposing for you today is a character traits study of Jesus. And so there's so much to learn about his character, so much that we need to learn about who he was, how he lived, how he dealt with conflict, how he dealt with people that didn't think like him and act like him and look like him, how he dealt with sin issues, how he just talked in grace and love to other people. And there's so much that we can learn from his life. And so I want to put before you this challenge today, and that is identifying the character traits of Jesus. So with this, I have developed a free study, and I want to kind of go over with you what this study includes. Now, this study comes with a free printable, which I will talk about at the end of this, but I want to give you an illustration of how this is lived out in my own life. Now, what I have done for my own life is I have gotten myself a journal, and it's pretty simple. It's just a journal. It's actually an 8.5 by 11 journal. It's a full page journal. I didn't get a half page one, but it is a full page, so you can see the size of this. All I did is went to Staples and I picked this up for literally like $5 or $6. It was not expensive. You can do it in, just a regular spiral notebook. You can do it in like one of those composition notebooks. notebooks that you get at the Dollar Tree. It does not have to be anything fancy, but this is what I've used. Now remember, I've got a printable for you at the end of this to kind of get you started, but this is what I use. Now what I have done is I want to just kind of give the example of what I've done through the book of John. So what we learn through the book of John is all kinds of wonderful, glorious traits of who Jesus was. And we can grab a hold of John, for instance, and we can look through from beginning to end and realize all kinds of wonderful things there is to know about Jesus. And so I have developed this method that answers 4 practical things as I am studying Scripture. Now again, I want to point out to you that I will read until something pops out to me. That's what I call reading until you hear his voice. Reading until I have come to something where I know this is good and this is something that I need to study down and look at and observe and pay attention to. And so that's the first and foremost thing that I do is I will just start out in John chapter 1 and I will just start reading. And what I want to note are several things here. First of all, you want to jot down the biblical reference. Where is it that I find myself stuck at and cannot move forward? So that's first and foremost, like write down the biblical reference. John 1:5, let's say. Then the second thing that I want to identify is the character of Jesus. What is the character that I see of Jesus being emulated here? What is he doing here? Maybe it's in the way that he's talking. Maybe it's in the way that he's communicating to his disciples. Maybe it's the way that he is giving an order or a commission or an assignment. What do I see about the character of Jesus? Is it grace-filled? Is it love? Is it gentle? Is it mercy? Is he kind? Is he patient? Like, what is the character that I see about Jesus? And so that is something that then I want to write down. I want to write down, this is the character that I see of Jesus, because when we write it down, right, when we write down the character of Jesus, when we characterize who he is, then we have something written down, tangible and observable that we can then try to emulate in our life. The next thing is just general observations about the verse that I've referenced. So just some of the general observations. Where was he? What was he doing? Who was in close proximity to him? You know, who was the audience? Who was the people that could hear him? What was being communicated? What was the order that was being given? What was the time period? What kind of events were going on during this time? So that is something that I want to make sure to make reference to. The next thing is the ways that we can imitate the character noted. So for instance, if I'm at the place of Scripture where it's talking about the woman at the well, and where Jesus assigns to her, well, he doesn't assign to her, but he identifies in her the sin in her life, but he does it with grace. He does it in a way that makes her communicate that sin to him without calling it out in her. That is something that I want to make note of. And how can I do that in my own life? In other words, how can I be in a relationship with someone else without pointing the sin in their life, but pointing them to Jesus, which then in turn allows them to actively identify the sin in themselves, right? Because there is no shame and condemnation ordered to the person, but how do I bring that to light with just being Jesus to other people? And then the last thing is praying for God to help me in that character emulating that character. I am having a hard time with my words today. Emulating that character, just praying for God to allow me to have the grace and to have the mercy and to have the love and to be able to take that character trait that I've learned about and activate it in my own life. Now, I've been doing this method, like I said, for a couple years, and it has been mind-boggling. It has blown my mind at how much I have learned. And so what I have done is I have kept it all in this nice, neat notebook. But what I have given for you today is a printable to help get you started. Now, the reason for the printable is really to help you to learn the habit of these things. things. And then once you kind of develop that, then you can transfer it into your notebook. But this is just helping you to create this habit of answering these questions and bringing to light all of the things that we need to know about how this study can help us. And so this is the printable here. Now I have printed it out in black and white because my printer just died. Its color ink just went out. So I had to print this in a draft black and white, but this will give you an idea of what it looks like. Now I am going to link this in my bio, so you will have it. It's free. You can just go to my website and download it and print it. You can print it color, you can print it in black and white, you can print them several copies if you want to, again, just to develop this habit. What I would like to encourage you to do is every week find at least 3 character traits of Jesus that you can pull from the Gospels that you can learn to begin to emulate. But you can see this printable and how I've kind of laid it out. I've identified 2 verses here at the top under the character traits of Jesus. It's 1 John 2:6 that says, those who say they live in God should live their lives as Jesus did. And then 1 Peter 2:21 that says, he is your example and you must follow in his steps. And so really, that's just what it is, right? Learning who was Jesus and how can I follow in his steps? How can I do what he did? You know, in the scriptures, in the Gospels, Jesus says, greater works will you do than I did. But that means that we have to start doing what he did, right? And so this is a way that we can begin to do that. It's something that will activate our faith. I promise you that you will be changed after you do a character study of Jesus. And so again, I have listed out several different boxes, and I've listed out some of the things that we just talked about. So for instance, the biblical reference, there's a little box where you can put the biblical reference and then you can just write what that Bible verse says or verses. General observations you put here. Here is the character of Jesus. So here are all of this huge space for you to characterize Jesus. What was the character that I want to emulate? How can I imitate this character in my own life? Is this section down here, and then the final section is pray. So there are a total of 5 sections here that get you started on identifying the character traits of Jesus. 4 steps, 5 boxes for you to identify the character traits of Jesus. And I am telling you, this is so good. If you get yourself just in this habit, in this routine of reading through a gospel, you don't have to do all 4 for the summer. You can pick one, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. They all have different identifying qualifications for each book. I mean, each book has its own characterization within it. So you can pick which one you like. John, I absolutely love because it's simple, it's right to the heart, and it tells us who Jesus was because he intimately knew Jesus with his very life. And so I encourage you today, there's a lawnmower coming, so I guess I better stop now. Real life, but I encourage you to go into my bio, find where you can download this printable for yourself, and get to studying the character traits of Jesus, and you will not be sorry. Talk to you later, friends. Bye-bye.